July is the month when hostas reveal every spring mistake. The same plant that looked perfect after dormancy, full, bold, and almost tropical in May, can suddenly look tired by midsummer. Brown leaf edges appear, holes show up overnight, lower leaves begin to yellow, and sometimes a strange streaking pattern forms between the veins. The kind of mark that does not fade no matter how much water you add. This is where many gardeners make the problem worse. They water more, they feed the plant, they remove damaged leaves too quickly and hope the hosta will grow out of it. But each symptom is telling a different story, and the wrong reaction can cost you the plant. In one serious case, those streaks can signal a problem that spreads from one hosta to the next before summer is even over. July hosta care is not about forcing fresh growth. It is about defense. Your job is to protect the crown, protect the roots, protect the leaves from heat and pests, and stop doing the helpful things that quietly weaken the plant. In this guide, you will learn exactly what your hostas need in July, what they do not need, and the one midsummer mistake that causes many hostas to underperform for the rest of the season. Before we start, drop your US state or USDA zone in the comments. A hosta in Zone 4. Minnesota does not face the same July stress as one in Zone 8 Georgia. Your location matters. Let's begin. Hostas do not want a quick sprinkle in July. They want slow, deep water that reaches the fleshy roots below the surface. A few minutes of watering every day may make the top of the soil look dark, but in summer heat, that moisture can disappear before it ever reaches the root zone. That is why brown tips, afternoon wilting, and weak midsummer growth often begin with shallow watering. For most garden beds, aim for about 1 inch of water per week divided into 2 deep sessions. This gives the soil time to absorb moisture and encourages the roots to stay active deeper down, where temperatures are steadier. Some hostas need more than that. Plants growing under trees compete with large roots that steal moisture quickly. Hostas under roof overhangs may receive almost no rain at all. Containers dry out faster because the soil volume is limited and exposed on all sides. In those situations, the calendar matters less than the soil itself. Push your finger or a small trowel 3 to 4 inches down. If the soil is dry at that depth, your hosta is already under stress, even if the surface looks fine. Water at the base of the plant, not over the leaves. This one habit prevents several July problems at once. Wet foliage in the evening creates a perfect feeding zone for slugs and keeps leaf surfaces damp long enough for foliar diseases to move more easily. Morning splash is less risky because it dries with daylight and airflow. Evening leaf watering is the dangerous one. Aim every watering at the soil around the crown. Let it soak deeply and keep the leaves as dry as possible. Now tell me in the comments, are your hostas showing brown tips, holes, or yellowing this July? Add your state or zone too. Before you treat your hosta for pests, disease, or lack of water, check the shade first. The most common July problem on hostas is not always a slug. It is not always a fungus. Very often, it is sunscorch. And because sunscorch can look like drought stress, many gardeners respond by watering more. The plant still looks damaged, so they water again. But the real issue is not the amount of water in the soil. It is the intensity of the afternoon sun hitting the leaves. Sun-scorched hosta leaves usually develop pale, bleached, papery patches. These patches appear on the most exposed parts of the leaf, especially where the sun strikes directly in the hottest part of the day. Once that tissue is burned, it will not turn green again. That individual leaf is permanently marked. But the plant itself is not ruined. If the light problem is corrected, the crown can continue producing healthy new leaves. Here is the part many gardeners miss. The shade your hosta had in spring may not be the shade it has in July. As the sun moves higher and the angle of light changes through the season, a spot that received soft morning light in April can suddenly receive harsh afternoon sun in July. Your garden did not change, but the sun's path did. That is why a hosta can look perfectly placed in May and stressed by the 4th of July. Blue hostas are especially sensitive. Varieties such as Halcyon, Elegans, and Blue Angel get their blue color from a waxy surface coating on the leaves. Direct sun breaks down that coating. Once it is damaged, the blue tone will not fully return until fresh leaves emerge the following season. So when a blue hosta burns in July, you are not just losing clean foliage. You are losing the feature that made that variety special. Gold and yellow hostas can handle some morning light, and many of them actually color better with gentle sun. But afternoon sun is different. In zones 6 through 9, anything after noon can become too intense, even for stronger varieties. Check your hostas between noon and 4 p.m. That 4-hour window tells you whether the planting location is helping the plant or slowly damaging it. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe now. Here at Root Garden Wisdom, we share practical, zone-aware gardening advice that helps you save plants before problems become expensive. Refresh the mulch around your hostas in July, but keep it away from the crown. By midsummer, the mulch you placed in spring has usually settled, compacted, and started breaking down. It may still look present from above, but it may no longer be doing enough to protect the soil during the hottest weeks of the season. A good mulch layer around hostas should be about 2 to 4 inches deep. Use organic materials such as shredded bark, shredded leaves, pine needles, or leaf mold. In July, that mulch works like a shield. It keeps the root zone cooler, slows moisture loss between waterings, and reduces the sharp soil temperature swings that stress hosta roots during extreme heat. But there is one mistake that can undo all of those benefits: piling mulch directly against the crown. The crown is the central point where the leaf stems rise from the root system at soil level. It needs airflow. When mulch is packed tightly around that area, it traps warmth and moisture against the base of the plant. That is exactly the environment where crown rot can begin. Crown rot is dangerous because it often develops below the surface before you notice anything obvious above ground. The leaves may look acceptable for a while the base of the plant is already weakening. By the time the hosta suddenly collapses later in summer, the crown may have been damaged for weeks. So refresh the mulch, but pull it back from the center. Leave at least 2 to 3 inches of clear space around the crown. Let the mulch protect the surrounding soil, not smother the plant. This small adjustment can be the difference between a hosta that survives July stress and one that quietly rots from the base. If this tip saves even one plant in your garden, hit the like button so more hosta growers see it before they make the same mistake. If you see holes in your hosta leaves, look closely at the shape of the damage. Slug damage is usually not neat. It does not look like clean cuts or perfect circles. It looks ragged, uneven, and chewed through, as if something scraped the soft leaf tissue away during the night. That is exactly what happened. Slugs feed after dark when the air is cooler and the garden is damp. A shaded hosta bed in July gives them nearly everything they want: moisture, cover, soft leaves, and protection from direct sun. During the day, they hide where you are unlikely to notice them: under leaves, beneath pot rims, under boards, under stones, or in dense debris around the base of the plant. The simplest control method is also one of the most effective. Go out about 1 hour after sunset with a flashlight. Check the tops and undersides of the leaves. When slugs are active, you will see them feeding in real time. Pick them off by hand and drop them into a container of soapy water. Do this for 3 nights in a row when damage is fresh. You are not just removing a few pests. You are reducing the local feeding population at the exact moment they are exposed. Then make the area less inviting. Stop wetting the leaves in the evening. Remove boards, thick debris, and objects lying on the soil near your hostas. Thin nearby plants if the air is trapped and humid around the crown. You do not need to wait until every leaf is shredded. If you act when the first ragged holes appear, you can protect the rest of the plant before July damage becomes permanent. Remove spent flower stalks, but understand what you are choosing before you cut. Most hostas bloom in June or July. Some flowers are small and easy to overlook, while others are surprisingly beautiful and fragrant. Varieties such as Sum and Substance and Royal Standard can produce white, scented flowers that attract pollinators. Bees visit them often, and hummingbirds may stop by as well. So if your garden is partly designed for wildlife, there is real value in letting the flowers finish their bloom cycle. But once the last flower fades, the purpose of that stalk changes. At that point, the plant begins directing energy into seed production. For most gardeners, those seeds are not useful. They rarely produce plants identical to the parent, and they often drop in places where you do not want extra seedlings. More importantly, that energy could be going back into the crown and root system. Cut the finished stalk cleanly at the point where it emerges from the crown. Do not leave a tall stub. A clean removal takes less than a minute and helps the plant spend the rest of summer strengthening itself for next spring. Stop fertilizing your hostas after July and be honest about whether they needed fertilizer in the first place. Many gardeners treat hostas like heavy feeders because the leaves are large and lush. But established hostas growing in decent soil are not demanding plants. If the bed receives compost, leaf mold, or other organic matter each year, that slow release of nutrients is usually enough to support healthy growth. The problem begins when gardeners keep pushing nitrogen late into the season. Nitrogen encourages soft, fresh leaf growth. That sounds helpful in spring, but by late summer it works against the plant. At this stage, the hosta should be preparing for dormancy, storing energy in the crown and roots, not producing tender growth that will not have time to mature. In colder zones, especially zones 4 through 6, early frost can arrive sooner than expected. Any soft growth pushed by late fertilizer is the first tissue to suffer cold damage. That means a July feeding mistake can weaken the plant before fall even begins. If your hostas are in the ground and growing well, stop fertilizing by the end of July. No exceptions. Container hostas are the only real exception because potting mix loses nutrients faster than garden soil. A light, balanced feeding in early July can help potted hostas, but after that, stop. From this point forward, the goal is not more leaves. The goal is stronger roots, a healthier crown, and a better return next spring. Before you treat any hosta problem in July, identify the symptom correctly. This matters because several hosta problems can appear at the same time, but they require completely different responses. If you treat sun damage like a pest problem, nothing improves. If you treat a disease like a watering issue, you may accidentally spread it through the entire planting. Slug damage usually appears as irregular holes with ragged edges. The holes may be in the middle of the leaf or along the margins. Sometimes you will see a shiny slime trail early in the morning before it dries. The key clue is timing. Fresh damage often appears overnight. Sunscorch looks very different. It creates pale, bleached, papery patches on the parts of the leaf most exposed to direct sun. There are no slime trails and no chewing marks. The damaged tissue looks burned, not eaten. Foliar nematodes are more serious. They often create yellow or brown streaks between the veins of the leaf. The pattern looks angular because the veins act like boundaries. This is not random spotting. It follows the structure of the leaf. If you see this kind of streaking on multiple leaves, do not compost them. Remove affected leaves and throw them in the trash. Then switch to watering only at the soil level because nematodes can move through thin films of water on leaf surfaces. Hosta virus X is another problem that cannot be fixed. It may show up as mottled color, ink-like bleeding around veins, ring spots, puckered leaves, twisted growth, or strange texture. There is no spray, fertilizer, or pruning trick that cures it. A confirmed infected plant should be removed entirely and disposed of in the trash, never in compost. Tools matter here. Hosta virus X spreads through sap, so any blade used on a suspicious plant must be disinfected before it touches another hosta. Use undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide or another proper disinfectant and clean the tool thoroughly. The main lesson is simple. Do not guess. Brown edges, holes, streaks, and mottling are different messages. Read them correctly before you act. Here is your complete July hosta checklist before you go. Water deeply, about 1 inch per week for most garden beds, and aim every watering at the soil. Keep the foliage dry whenever possible, especially in the evening. Check your shade between noon and 4 p.m. Do not judge the location by how it looked in spring. July sun is stronger, hotter, and often reaches places that were protected earlier in the season. Refresh the mulch to 2 to 4 inches, but pull it away from the crown. Mulch should protect the soil, not bury the base of the plant. If you see ragged holes, check for slugs after dark and handpick them for 3 consecutive nights. Remove flower stalks once blooming is finished, so the plant can send energy back into the roots and crown. Stop fertilizing by the end of July. From now on, your hosta should be preparing for dormancy, not being pushed into soft new growth. And most importantly, identify symptoms before treating them. slugs, sunscorch, foliar nematodes, and hosta virus X all require different responses. July is not the month to push your hostas. It is the month to protect them. The strongest hostas next spring are the ones you protect through summer stress today. Subscribe, hit the bell, and comment your state or zone below. Tell me what your hostas look like right now. I read every comment, and your answers help shape the next video.